Hello and welcome, Essex County College family. This is Joe from the Student Life and Activities Office. We want to thank you for tuning in to our Essex Builds Leaders workshop. This is the second in a series that we started this year. Our first was Student Success Day last month in September. You may remember our featured speaker, Geo Derice, from then. Now, typically throughout the years when we do Student Success Day and all of our different types of motivational programs for our student body, we like to mix it up. We like to have diversity with our speaker. We usually don't have speakers that we hire for the college that we say to ourselves, wow, that person was so awesome, we have to get them back immediately. Very rare does that happen. And I am blessed to be able to say, and as you can tell because of the picture right next to me, is that we have one of those speakers back with us today. We love to have him come, and he has a million awesome ideas and awesome things that you can do to improve your own skills, your life, your future. And we like to expose our students to individuals as well-rounded and as, I'm going to say, elite as Geo. So it is my pleasure to bring you once again to the Essex County College virtual stage, award-winning author and speaker, and the guy who's going to put a foot in your butt today, Mr. Geo Derice. Welcome, Geo.
Thank you, Joe. Listen, I'm gonna have to take you everywhere I go because these type of introductions is amazing. Like, thank you guys so much for having me back. Again, I love coming back, and what you said earlier is, yeah, typically it's one time. You kind of get tired of hearing the same voice over and over again. But today we got a special presentation about time. Now it's about time and that we get started. So I'm going to jump into it. But at the same time, I know that this is one of the biggest topics that I could ever talk about to college students. And the reason why is because it is literally the one thing we all have in common. We all, no matter where you are, what your background is, you all have 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. And my goal, my promise to you today is I am going to show you literally how to manage it, quote unquote, so that you can go and level up your success. Like we talk about students are first, you can see it by student first, you see it right here, right? And literally, I want to make sure that you are able to get all the tools that you need with regards to time to ensure that you are able to propel yourself to the next level. So if I'm in the right place and you guys are ready to dive on in, let me see it in the chat. Just say, Geo, I am ready to rock and roll. I don't know why I said rock and roll, hip hop, whatever. Just put it in the chat. I just want to make sure that I am in the right place. Everybody's awake. It's not cloudy anymore. The sun is out now. I know you may be tempted saying, oh, Geo, shucks, like I really want to be outside right now. But I promise you that what we're going to talk about today is the stuff that honestly, I'm 36 years old. I am still working on this. No one is a master at time. No one. We all, how many of you guys, let's just be honest. How many of us wish we could figure out a way to go and have an 8th day, a 25th hour, like, well, I wish 60 minutes was 61. Like, you just literally like, I need a little bit more. Even when you haven't, think about it, when you having fun, don't you wish like your clock could break and time would stand still? And then when things are going really bad, what do? Yo, speed this thing up. Like, I just want this thing to end a lot quicker. And so one of the things that I've realized with time, and I just want to just throw it in here, is while we are talking about time management, the reality is I got some bad news for you guys. The bad news is this: we cannot manage time. Let me just put it out there. I know this be like, oh, well, then I could leave now. No, we can't manage time, but there is something that we can do. And here's what I mean by that. When we think about time, there is nothing, no matter whether it's a good time or a bad time, you can't stop it. It just keeps on ticking. It keeps on ticking. It keeps on ticking. So what can we do? So I just want to know in the chat, just go ahead and let me know, what things have you heard about time? Like, give me your thoughts. And by the way, can you guys see my screen? I just want to make sure that you don't just see the cool background. You can see the screen as well. You just put yes in the chat. Jessica said thumbs up. I see it. Cool. Janelle said yes. Awesome. Anthony was like, I'm ready to learn how to manage time better. Anthony, I got you. You're going to be good by the end of this presentation. I promise you that. Melanie is like, I'm ready to rock time. Like, I love it. So tell me, like, what did you guys have heard? What have you heard about time? What are some sayings? What are some beliefs? What are some thoughts that you have around time that you may have heard? Maybe you have your own philosophy about it. Lindsay says, well, I know there's never a right time to things. That's good. Angelin, I believe, you can't stop time. Carla, time won't give me time. Helena, time is money. Janelle, early bird gets the worm. Joe said time heals all wounds. That's debatable. Anthony says time is an illusion. Oh, this is good stuff, people. Let me get two more. Time is man-made, Isaiah said. Interesting. Jamil said everything in its own time. Now, this is powerful. This is powerful stuff. So we've all heard different things. You know, time is money. Early bird gets the worm. Time heals all wounds, quote unquote. The illusion of time. The fact that time is man-made. The fact that everything happens on its own time. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and just a mental shift, this little shift will have you looking at time a little bit differently. And I think it was Helena who said it. She said, time is money. Any of you guys heard that before? Like, time is money, right? And normally, when do you hear people normally say that? They normally say that when they don't want you to waste their time, right? Like, yo, time is money. Time is of the essence, right? And so you're like, we got to make sure that we take care of business. And what I wanted to share with you is that we all have this every single day. All of us has $86,400 a day. Now, what does that look like? That's really the seconds that we have in a day. Every single day, we get 86,400 seconds. Think about it like it's your bank account. And every morning you wake up, it's a new 86,400. But here's the catch. The catch is by the end of the day, it goes to zero every time. Every single day, it starts off with 86,400 and it ends with zero. And the next day you get a new opportunity to go ahead and do it again. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think about this saying right here? Think about, look at the screen, what it says. Think about that for a second, right? Wasting time is worse than wasting money. Can anybody tell me why is that the case? Lindsay says true. Jessica said yes, exclamation mark. Anybody can tell me?
You can't get it back.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't get it back. The money, you can always get your money back, but you can't get your time back.
Jessica, you're absolutely right. Jessica,
Yeah,
go ahead.
and also when you're wasting time, you're wasting money too. Because I can get example. If you keep saying I'm waiting when the time is right to go to college, you're just wasting your whole life waiting the time, because I know the time is never gonna be right. You go to college when you're ready, not when the time is right.
No, that's so good. Thank you guys. You know, it's so important when we think about time to, like you said, I love what, I don't know who was speaking, but I love when you said that, you know, there's never that perfect time. We're like, yeah, you know what? I'll go and get all my ducks in a row. And then when all my ducks are in a row, then I'll go ahead and I'll do this. And the reality is that the ducks, I don't know what type of ducks you're talking about, but ducks don't like going in a row. They start flying all over the place or walking all over the place. And so when we think about this whole idea of like wasting time and the fact that it's worse, here's the thing. I can go to a store right now. I can go ahead and I can buy something with my money. And if I do not like that thing, I can go and say, I don't like it and get my money back. I can get a refund. But the reality is that with time, there's no refunds for the fact that we wasted it. You spend a bad hour, you spend a bad day, you have a bad week, you have a bad month, you have a bad year. There's no store that I can go to. There's no return policy where you can go and say, hey, you know what? I had a bad hour. Can I get a do-over? Can we reset this, please? There is no place for that. And so it's so important that we understand that this commodity, this one thing that while we all have it in common, It's important and it's precious, and how we spend it is super, super important. And so when you're thinking about time, don't think about it from the place of how do I manage it. The big shift is thinking about it like it's money and say, how do I spend it? It's not how do I manage it, it's how do I spend it? And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but here's the reality about time. It's, and for people who are successful, who are not successful, right? It's not what they have, it's what they do with what they have that makes the difference. Oprah has 24 hours. The president of the United States has 24 hours. Jamil has 24 hours. Mr. Graham has 24 hours. Joe has 24 hours. Jessica got 24 hours. Lindsay has 24 hours. All of us, Angeline got 24 hours. We all have it, but it's how we spend it that changes the ball game. And so we're going to talk about that today, about like, how do we go ahead and spend it? But here's the number one thing that I've realized. It's very hard to know how to spend your time if you're not sure or clear on where you're trying to go. Until you know where you're trying to go, what are your goals, what are you focused on, it's hard to know how to spend your time. Imagine this. I just want to propose something to the group right now. Imagine I gave you $1 million right now. Hey, Jessica, $1 million. Jessica was like, what? She's like, I'm about to go and buy me this. Like, Geo, don't you get me started with no $1 million. Like, you know what I could do with that? Right? I'm seeing the faces like $1 million. Are you serious? Like, Geo, I'm set up. Gregory's like, yo, making plans right now, figuring out what type of things he's going to go ahead and buy with $1 million. But here's the thing that I want us to understand. Even though we can all have $1 million, how we spend $1 million will determine the life that we live. And so the key is knowing where is it that you're trying to go. I would love to go and see in the chat. Tell me, like, where is it that you're attempting to go? What's your goal? What's the destination? If you was driving a car right now and you had to go and put your location of where you're trying to go into the GPS, where are you trying to go? We're all in college right now. Where do you want college to take you? Put it in the chat. Let me see. Where do you want to go? What's the goal? Where are we going? Put it in the chat. Let me see. Let me see some places that this amazing group is trying to go. Let's see. Let's see. Put it in the chat. Let me see. All right. A doctorian. Jessica, you said you're going to get a doctorate degree? That's the plan. Cool. Got it. Angeline, what are you trying to tell me? Far. Here's the thing. I want you to be specific. The clearer it is, the more likely you're going to get there. So when we say, yo, I'm trying to go far in life, that's true. But how far are we trying to go? Where does that place? There's no wrong answers. But if we don't know where, then how do we ever know when we get there? So it's important for us to know what it is. Jessica said infinity and beyond. Mo says the Oval Office. Oh, we got a future president in the building. Okay. Tell me, like, where are we trying to go? Because if you say somewhere, I can just take you around the corner and that's a somewhere, right? So identify what that is. What is Shadacia? I hope I said your name correctly. I want to go get my RN in nursing. That's absolutely amazing. Knowing that, right? Knowing where you want to go. I want to be the president of the United States. I want to go and get my RN. I want to get a doctorate degree. I need to hear more, because until we know where we're trying to go, the rest of this presentation will not have the best value for you, because time is something that we want to work for us instead of working against us. And one of the ways to ensure that it works for you is to tell it where you're trying to go. Think of time like a car. Think of time like your Uber. It's supposed to transport you somewhere, but where do you want it to take you to? So I'm just going to hold here. I don't want to move forward yet, because I really want to make sure that you have the opportunity to go and put in the chat, where is it that you want that time to take you to? Where's that end destination? Talk to me, let me know, because it's going to help you as we ask questions later on in this workshop. You're going to go and think through that lens. You're going to think, oh, I want to get a doctorate degree. And there are going to be some key questions that you're going to be able to answer because you have clarity on where it is that you want to go. Anybody, just put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Let me see. I saw RN. I saw a doctorate degree. I saw the President of the United States, the Oval Office. Anybody else? Where are you trying to go? What's your goal? And let me tell you something. I have found that it is so hard for us sometimes to share where we're trying to go because we are deathly afraid that if I say where I'm trying to go and I don't get there, I could be judged. People might say, oh, snap. Oh, you think you're going to be a doctor? And all of a sudden we start to play small in life because we don't want people to judge us on the big life that we want. And I'm here to just let you know, this is a safe place, a safe space, I should say, where you can go ahead and share that and understand that, listen, you will always have more haters than those who are fans. Let me just say that again. You will always have more haters than fans. So be okay with sharing it. And again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. You will have the last laugh. Let them laugh first. All the haters can laugh at you. You can say, I want to be a physician. I want to be in physical therapy. I want to get a BSN in nursing, right? All of the people can laugh now, but you will laugh last when you are clear. You know exactly where you're going to try to go. So that way you can tell time, this is where I want you to be. So I saw physician. So here's some questions I want you to think about. And I call this the clarity cocktail. Basically, what I mean by the clarity cocktail is a bunch of mixtures of things together that will absolutely help you to get more clarity in where you're trying to go. Anthony said, I want to get my bachelor's degree in architecture technology. That is absolutely awesome. That's good that you know exactly what that is. It's super important. Good job, Anthony. And guys, feel free as the presentation is going to just go and put in the chat where you're trying to go. It's so important because this also tells people how to help you. When we see, oh, snap, this is what Anthony wants to do, we're able to go and say, Anthony, hey, I know somebody with that degree. Let me hook you up and let me tell you how you can hang out with that person. So now you're spending valuable time with someone who can actually help you get to where it is that you're trying to go. So when you don't say what your goals are, it's hard for people who are around you, who are here for you, to show you how to go and maximize that experience. So good job writing that in the chat. So now in Clarity Cocktail, here's the questions you want to think about. What do you want? What do you want? And not just what do you want, but you want to write it down. You want to write it down. Have you ever had somebody where you had something and you wanted it and you forgot it? No, am I the only one with bad memory? Or like, I know I'm older, but not that old. Okay,
Geo, I'm older than you, and I got a good memory, so that's not an excuse.
That's it. Don't come for me. Right, right. So you think about it, Jada. Yeah, I'm seeing people put in their professions in here. I'm loving this. Good job, Jada. Surgeon. I love it. So when I talk about what do you want, right? You write that stuff down, and you want to keep it around you in case you forget. When you're doing those assignments, and you're like, yo, I don't want to do those assignments no more. Those are the times where you want to write something by your desk, something where you're doing your work, reminding yourself, whether it's a screensaver on your computer, on your phone, you want to document it, you want to jot it down so that you're able to keep it at the forefront so that it makes sense why you're going through the hell that you might be going through, right? Sometimes if we're just going to keep it a buck, keep it honest, some of the journeys that we're trying to take to get to the heaven that we aspire to get to, it requires us to go through a little bit of hell. And sometimes if we don't write it down, we forget, why am I going through this in the first place? And so it's important to go ahead and write it down. Then the next question you want to think about is, when do you want to achieve it by? When do you want to achieve this goal, right? So here's the reason why this question is so important. Let's say Jessica, for example, I see her on the screen, right? So let's say Jessica, for example, says, I want to go to California. Cool. But here's the thing though. If I ask you, you say you want to go to California, the question I would ask you is, when do you want to get there by? And here's the reality of that question. Here's why this question is so important. Because if Jessica says, I want to get there in a week, well, that's cool. We could drive there. If Jessica says, I want to get there in the same day, that now requires a flight. You see, when we determine when we're trying to get there, it helps to direct our focus and helps us to actually make decisions. So if you're going to say, hey, I want to go and graduate from Essex in 2 years, or I want to graduate from Essex in the next 6 months. Depending on how fast you want to go is going to determine, should you get a student advisor? Should you get a counselor? Should you be doing tutoring? The best way to go and make those decisions on how to best spend your time is determined by when do you want to get the goal accomplished. If you don't know when, it could take forever. Many students are in school for a long period of time, and yes, life happens. So sometimes you got to call a timeout. Sometimes we have children, we have jobs, we have family to take care of. So sometimes that can cause a delay or a timeout in our journey, in our college journey. But at the same time, I would tell you that for many people, the reason why it takes so long is because you gave yourself too much time. There's a reason why they call it a deadline. They call it a deadline because it's do or die. Like, this is when you need to get it done. And so that's why they call it a deadline. But if we don't start creating deadlines for our goals, they will literally take forever. And so you want to know, when do you want to accomplish this? Carla says, MFA, studio painting, masterpiece, and playing the piano proficiently in a happy home. So I love that. That's so, you guys got so many well-versed, like there's so many different things. There's like doctors, there's nurses, there's artists, there's so many different professions. And when you answer that question, it'll help you to know, when do you want to accomplish it by? And then what steps do you have to take? What steps do you have to take to get there? So if you want to be a doctor, you got to go to school. If you want to be a nurse, you got to be part of the nursing program, right? And you got to sign up for that. And you got to go and take courses. And you got to go and get internships. And you got to get hours in the field. Like, literally, by knowing what you want to do, it will literally start to go and line up your schedule. And here's the thing. We talked about time is money, right? Well, here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. When you have money, do you just leave it laying around everywhere? Do you guys have like money just laying all over the place? Like, you got dollar bills in the bathroom, in the bedroom, on the floor, in your wallet. Like, where, like, when you have money, like, don't you put it somewhere? I'm just curious. Like Jessica said, yeah, I got a money tree, and no, it needs to be put somewhere. Lindsay said. Jessica said, yeah, I got a money tree in my yard. Send the address. I need to grab some money too, right? But the reality is that, Lindsay, I hope I'm saying your name right. Lindsay said, like, it needs to be put somewhere. When you have money and you want to put it somewhere, right? So when you're serious about your coins, when you're serious about your coins, you put it in your wallet. You put it in a bank account. You make sure it's somewhere secure. And it's the same thing we got to do with our time. With our time, we got to go and put it on a calendar. You got to go ahead and have yourself a schedule when you know, like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do for today. Like, for me, I'll have like a list of stuff. Here's what's going to happen for today. And one of the biggest mistakes, I just want to let you guys know this is a super quick tip, is that if you're planning for your day, the day of, you're late. Let me say this again. If you are planning for your day, the day of, you're too late. So tomorrow needs to be planned today. Next week needs to be planned this week. Next year needs to be planned this year. Like, you want to stay ahead of the curve. Those who are very successful, they don't wake up and say, "Ooh, snap. Oh, snap. Tomorrow. Oh, I didn't, what you doing here? Like, I didn't know you were coming," right? You want to prepare in advance for tomorrow. And the way you go ahead and do that is by having a plan, by writing down the steps. And then when you have a plan, you can then go ahead and execute that plan and make sure that at every single day that you are experiencing life, that you are doing at least one thing to get you closer to the place of where it is you want to be. So let me ask you, like, what's one thing? Like anybody, just put in the chat, you know what you want. What is one thing that you can do today to get you a step closer? Put it in the chat. Let me know, what is one thing you can do today that will help you move closer to your goal? Just waiting in the chat. Yeah, I gotta schedule yourself properly. Yes, that's very important. We're going to wait till you see the next slide. Yep, schedule yourself properly. What is one step? Let me just see it in the chat. What is a step you can take? Lindsay, I can focus. Yes, absolutely. What else? What else can we do? Study longer, says Anthony. You absolutely right. Right? We could always get a little bit more studying done. Anybody else? I could make a plan today for tomorrow, says Zenab. Prioritize, says Angeline. No time for partying. Melanie says, manage my time efficiently. Yep. We can all do, and here's the cool thing. We all had different things, but here's the cool thing, and this is where we should be empowered. We all can do something. It doesn't require to be perfect. What it does require is a plan. Like, what's something that you can do so that you can move yourself forward? So I want to ask you guys this. I'm going to show you something real quick. Which one? Now, there's two scenarios, right? There's one on the left side and there's one on the right side. And the things highlighted in the awesome Essex bluish color is things that actually got done on somebody's to-do list. There's on the left and it's on the right. Now, let me ask you this question. Which one of those two scenarios would society say is the most productive? Put it in the chat. If it's the person on the left, just put a 1. If it's a person on the right, put a 2. Which one would society say is more? Janelle says 2. Yep. Which one? Angeline 2, Isaiah 2. I'm seeing it in the chat. Go ahead, put it in the chat. 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2. Jada 2. Melanie says 2. Jada says 2. Isaiah says 2. Who else? 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1 or 2. Which one? Which one is society be like, ooh, you killing it. Like you about that life. Lindsay said, I honestly don't know. Absolutely. Good. That's fine if you don't know. Dwight, 2. Francesca 2, right? 2 as well. So here's the interesting thing about this. What society we go and say, yo, man, you doing, hey, man, you know what? I did like 20 out of 22 things on my to-do list today. And you like, yo, wow, you did 20 things today? Yo, that's crazy. Like, yo, you mad productive. And what we can often miss is we can confuse this, and put this in the chat. Don't confuse busy with taking care of business. Let me say that again. Don't confuse being busy with taking care of business. Those who, the person on the right, yo, he's doing mad stuff. Angela said quality over quantity. Yes. Stop reading my notes. Yes, right? Like, this is good. Quality over quantity, right? Sometimes he's like, yo, I'm doing the most. And it's like, yeah, but is the doing the most getting you the most? Is it giving you the best bang for your buck? You know, some people could go and spend $1 and they get like 10 things, and somebody else go and spend that $1, get only one thing, but it depends on what is the thing. So it's not all the time, says Melanie. Absolutely. So let me show you guys exactly what those things were. Look at the person on one side. The person one, they did 2 things. They finished 2 pages of their paper and they applied for jobs. That's it. The person on the right-hand side, number 2, took out the trash, called their mom, scheduled a doctor's appointment, made their bed, put the laundry away, washed dishes, shredded some paper, and checked emails. They did more stuff, but when we're talking about our goals, right? We talked about the goals earlier. How does checking your email, not checking your emails all the time? How does taking out the trash help you become an RN? How does making your bed, and I'm not saying making your bed is a bad thing. Sometimes it's very good for your mental to just know that you got some stuff done early in the day. But we have to understand this one philosophy is that not all activities are created equal. Not all activities are created equal. And I want this, if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, I want you to not walk away with the mentality of, Geo, I'm so busy. Because when you tell me, Geo, I'm so busy, you're not impressing anybody by saying you're busy. What I want to know is, are you taking care of business? Guys, I was guilty of being person number 2. I was person number 2 for so long. I would make my to-do list. I would have my board, right? And I would have like 20 things on my board. And I'm like, yo, check, to-do list, check. And I was killing it. I'm like, yo, I got 17 things done out of 20. And I didn't realize that the 3 things that I left off that I didn't do those were the things that was going to change everything. The other 17 things, it wasn't whether I did them or not wasn't going to change the game. What changed the game was those 3 things that I avoided. But I often avoided them because here's the reality. Let me just be honest. The things that we avoid, they're the ones that's the hardest. Am I lying? Tell me if I'm lying. If I'm lying, I'm flying. No, I'm playing. But listen, honestly, we always avoid it. Do your homework. Go to your office hours. Make sure you attend class. Make sure you schedule an appointment with your advisor. Go and apply to student government. We're like, oh man, I ain't doing all that. Later. All those things we say later. And then we do all these other stuff. 2,000 things. Oh my gosh, man, I just be staying busy. I ain't got no time to do nothing. And I'm asking myself, is it that you don't have time to do anything? Or is it that you've been spending your time on a bunch of nothings? Ooh, that hit me. And here's when I learned this. I went to a seminar. I went to an event, a networking event in Manhattan, in New York City. And when I went there, I started, the prerequisite to get into the place was that you had to have $1 million business. Now, I didn't have one at the time. I just went there because my mentor, he gave me his free ticket. So I go over there and I'm starting to ask people questions. And I know this one thing, how people spend their time determines the life that they live. And so all these people are running $1 million businesses. And I was like, I need to know how they spend their time. Because if I could figure out how they spend their time, I can get to the same destination that they are at just from the way they spend their time. And so I started to talk to a few people. I'm an introvert. You may not notice this because I'm speaking to you now, but I went and I started asking people, hey man, how many things you working on? And one of the guys was like, 2 things. I was like, 2 things, what you mean? Like, what are you working on for the year? Like the whole year. And I was waiting for him to give me like a Target receipt full of stuff. And he was like, no, I'm working on 2 things. I said, for the whole year? He was like, yep, I'm only working on 2 things. I said, all right, this guy's whack. He wilding. He don't know what, he ain't no real millionaire, whatever. Then I go and ask the next person. Yo, man, nice to meet you. Yo, how many things you working on this year? He said, I'm working on 2 to 3 things. I go to the next person. Yo, how many things you working on this year? 2 to 3 things. I asked 5, 10 people the very same question, and all of them told me 2 to 3 things. And here I am, when I walk into the room, I got this laundry list of 20 things. And as they started telling me that, I started going like this. You know what? Let me make sure I put this away, because apparently 20 things is not the answer to this test. The answer to the test was this reality, that 2 is greater than 10. 2 is greater than 10. I'm going to tell you guys about a rule called the Pareto rule. The Pareto rule. Let me just see it. Just put a 1 in the chat if you've never heard of the Pareto rule. The Pareto principle. Put a 1 in the chat if you've never heard of this before. I want to see, I see 1s. Isaiah 1, Lindsay 1, Janelle 1, Carla 1. Okay, perfect. I'm going to share it with you right now. So here's this never. Okay. You're like, not only a 1, 0. I've never heard of it. Here's what the Pareto principle says. It says that 80% of the success that you achieve in life comes from 20% of the things that you do. Let me say that again. 80% of the success that you achieve in life comes from the 20% of the things that you do. 20% of the things you do. The reason why I'm sharing this is because I want you to understand that overwhelm that we're feeling, that, oh my gosh, I'm doing so much. I just want to give you permission to do less. I want to give you permission to do less. I want you to know that the game is rigged. Whoever taught you that you got to do more, they played you. And they may have played you not because they didn't know. I didn't know the Pareto principle until I went to that event and realized less is more. Less is more. Put that in the chat. Less is more. I feel like I wish we was in person because we would have got a chant going. Like it would have been like a protest. Less is more. Less is more. Right? Put it in the chat. Let me see. We all have different paths and roadblocks. We all won't get the same outcome. Absolutely. We won't get the same outcome. But the reality is less is more. Less is more. Less is more. We don't have to go and keep trying to do the most. Jada, less is more. Melanie, less is more. Yes, I love it. I love it. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Right? Less is more. So for those of you who may have came onto this session and you may have had a to-do list of 20 things, 15 things, 10 things, I want you to go and say, okay, Geo, I got 10 things. I want you to start circling. Go and look at those 10 things and say, which one of these will get me really the success that I want? Which one of these doesn't have anything to do with where I'm trying to go? And then circle the 2 out of the 10. Circle the 2 out of the 10 that you absolutely have to do to ensure that you get to your destination. Figure that out. Figure out what are the 2 things that I can focus on. What are 2 things I can do to ensure that I graduate? What are 2 things that I can do even in the midst of this pandemic to make sure that my grades don't slip, that they continue to stay at a high level? What is it that I can do? What are 2 things? Not 10, not 20, not 7, not 9. What are 2 things that you can do to move you a step forward into your destination and towards your goals, trying to get what you're trying to accomplish? What are the 2 things? Guys, I'm telling you right now, I don't know if y'all can see it. I got a little gray hair. I got my hair cut this morning, so I don't know if he cut it off. But I promise you, the grays in my hair, it wasn't from 2 things. It was from having that list of 10 and trying to go and do the most. And then you end up killing yourself. You start aging yourself faster because of stress. And you know why you stressing? Because you thought you were playing a quantity game and we should be playing a quality game, as somebody said earlier in the chat. We're playing a game of quality. We're not playing a game of, how much? No, it's how much can you put of yourself in the time? Melanie says, you speaking to me. Melanie, I'm glad you are here. This is for you. This is for all of us. If you know this already, it's a great reminder. If you don't know this, this is the first time you get permission, like Anthony says, facts, to be able to say, yo, why am I doing so much? Yeah, and I'm not telling you guys to put the bar down. I'm not saying don't aim for the moon. No, I'm saying make sure you taking quality steps towards the moon and not trying to go and put a bunch of bad bricks on top of each other and think that building will stand. It won't. The only way to make sure is that if you have good quality, and here's the thing, quality, it may take longer, but it lasts. Listen to me, Isaiah got it. Work smarter, not harder. Yes, quality lasts longer. The quantity, just a swift wind will knock that over. And so you want to think about less is more, the Pareto principle. 80% of the achievements that you have in life comes from 20%. It only comes from those 2 major decisions that you made. For some of you, that decision was to go back to school. For some of you, I know last time I was here, we had a nice, amazing person who came on and she was like 47 years old and she was making the decision to continue her college journey. She said, I want to finish it. And I was so blown away and touched by that because that one decision could ultimately change everything in her life or his life. Literally, 47 years old and said, no, I'm not done. I'm going to make that decision literally to make this change so that I can get another career that pays me more money, that I can go ahead and provide for my family at a higher level. And that came from making that one decision to go to Essex County College and to go and pursue your degree so that you can go ahead and set yourself up for success. This is what we can do when we make the right decisions and we don't play the quantity game, we play the quality game. Melanie says, why I'm killing myself, that's me. No, don't do that. That's what I'm saying. Why kill yourself? Like, we don't have to. Like, sometimes, like, the reason why we don't have joy in the journey is because we have some stuff on the journey that we should never be carrying. And then you wonder why you're paying extra to go and bring that onto the plane. The reason you're paying extra to bring it on the plane is because it should have never been in your baggage in the first place. I don't know who that was for. That was for somebody who's listening to me right now. Like, that was for somebody in this room right now to be like, yo, I need to unload some stuff out of my luggage so I don't go and pay no extra fees because it's too heavy. Anybody? Put a 2 in the chat if you've been feeling a little bit heavy. Like, you feel like, yo, man, Gio, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I got a little too much on my plate. I got a little too much on my plate. Put a 2 in the chat if that's you. If that's you and you're like, oh, I see somebody put 7 2s or 10 2s, right? If that's you, this is why we're doing this presentation, is to let you know, let the load off. Let the load off. Release it. Take out of those 10, put 8 on the side and figure out what those 2 things are for you. So I want to share with you guys a quick video and showing you exactly what this actually looks like. I just want to show it to you real quick, just so you can see it. So you can see that vase, and now he's pouring in sand into that vase right now. Or that vase, whatever, however you pronounce it. The sand is in there. Now he's putting in the pebbles. Put in the small rocks. Small rocks is in there. Now he's putting the big rocks into the vase. And as you can see, he still got some rocks left in the thing, but there's no more room. Now check this out. Puts the big rocks. Check it out. Yep. Put the big rocks in. I don't know who picked this music. So, but look, just check it out. See, the smaller rocks are inside. Now we're gonna put the sand in. Now, let me ask you guys a question. What did you notice in this video between those 2 scenarios? Put it in the chat. Let me know what did you notice? Melanie says, amazing. What did you guys notice? Put it in the chat. Just waiting for you guys to put it in the chat real quick. Let me just see. Let me see. What did you guys notice about the 2 scenarios? Christopher said, he reversed the steps. Yep. Xenia said no idea. Lindsay says do the most important things and specific things give you time to do the less important ones. Ooh, yeah, right? So good. So I know I want to make sure we get through this whole presentation, and then I want to stick around and answer any questions for you guys. But one of the things that we have to realize with this scenario is that when he tried to go and put the sand in first, there was no room for the big rocks. But when he put the big rocks first, all of a sudden there was room to put everything else. And here's the reality. The reality is that we had rocks, we had pebbles, and we have sand. And the reality is the sand are often the things that we love to do. It's the stuff like going on Instagram 10 times a day, watching Netflix, binging on Netflix like you work for them and you are writing reviews, right? You start to look at those things and you're like, oh snap, I got all the sand. And then here's what happened. Tell me if this is anybody. Put a 1 in the chat if you felt like this. You spent your time on social media. You hanged out with your friends, you on FaceTime, and then at the end of the day, you're like, I'm gonna try to do my assignments for school. And then you're like, you know what? I feel so tired. I don't have no energy to go ahead and do the work. I'll just do this tomorrow. Is that anybody? Put a 1 in the chat if that's you, where you're like, Geo, stop reading my life. Don't stop, mind your business, right? Dwight is like 1. Anybody put a 1 in the chat where you're like, yo, Geo, how did you know? Like, we do all these different things. I see the ones coming in the chat now. I see ones coming in the chat. This is good. This is good. I see the ones coming in the chat. And we go ahead and we start doing these things. And what happens is we think there won't be enough time for me to go on social media. There won't be enough time for me to have fun. And I'm here to tell you, you can have fun. This is not a presentation to tell you, yo, work. I want you to have a good quality life. I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to make sure you manage yourself, your well-being. But it's important for us to realize that when we put things in the right order, everything can fit. But when they're out of order, we leave the important things in our lives with the least amount of energy that we have for it, and we have no chance to accomplish it. So it's important for us to know, what are the big rocks? What are the big rocks that we need to put first and up front, first and foremost, to ensure that we can get everything in and reach our goal? Isaiah says to prioritize. Anthony says, I get it. The most important things were left behind, but what are the little things specifically? Yes, Anthony, good question. So the little things would be stuff like we showed in that chart. Yo, go on to do the laundry. That's important. You need clean clothes. But the social media, the going out to parties, you know, when we think about this, a lot of us have FOMO. Yo, I don't want to miss out this event. I don't want to miss that TV show. I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss that. And what we don't realize is we have FOMO for the wrong things. You have a fear of missing out from missing a TV show, but what about missing out on the best version of you? What about missing out on your success because you chose some sand-like things instead of what were the rocks? So when we think about social media is going to be there. The party, you can go to another one. These are the parties. This is not the one party. This is not the end-all, be-all, but your life is on the line. You are so important that it's important for us to realize, I can't take that risk. It is too expensive for you to spend the majority of your money on sand-like stuff and then leave the important things for the end. We can't. There's too much on the line. It's too expensive. It's too costly. We cannot afford to. So we got to make sure we know, what are your rocks? What are your rocks? Then you think about, what are your pebbles? Then you think about, what are your sands? Here's how for you to get a glimpse of how to do it. And I see Anthony say, yeah, you're right. I deleted Instagram last month and I've been feeling FOMO, but who cares? Anthony, let me ask you a question. Just put this in the chat. As you've deleted Instagram, have you been more productive than without it? Like, maybe for some of us, we just got to go on and like, yo, Instagram, deuces, man. Until the rest of the semester, I ain't seeing you today. I'm not going to look at you. Maybe take your phone and put Instagram on the last page. Anthony says, absolutely. I found a new job as well. Here's the interesting thing. Lindsay said, I did, and I felt way better, less stress and everything. Think about this. What's so crazy is, like, what if we actually knew what the sand was? What if we scheduled our sand moments? Tell me if you, in the chat, if this is something that you've ever done. Isn't it crazy that we will say, I'll only do 1 hour of homework? So we put a time limit on homework. But when it comes to social media, we don't put no time limit on it. Anybody could relate? Anybody could relate to, like, we never put time limits on fun or the things that don't produce, but the things that can actually help change our lives, we got to go and put a time limit on it. Yeah, I ain't doing no more than 60 minutes of work. But when it comes to Instagram, you could be on there for 30 minutes, 3 hours, 4 hours. You could be on Fortnite playing video games and stuff for 8 hours. You ever seen like a new video game come out and there'll be a news article saying so-and-so got sick because they played 48 hours of video games? No one ever schedules the sand. Schedule your sand so that you can be more productive, and make sure you put, I lose brain cells on Instagram. Listen, I'm not bashing Instagram. It's good, But I'm saying let's schedule Instagram instead of not having a schedule. Put a time limit on the sand so that there's room for big rocks and pebbles. Big rocks and pebbles, we need room for that. Now, here's the thing I got a question for you guys. Put this in the chat. What do high performers and low performers have in common? What do high performers, these are people who are achieving at a high level, very successful, they're focused on quality over quantity, and they're achieving their goals at a quantum rate, versus low performers. What do you think they have in common? Lindsay says same goals. This is a good one. I like that. Anybody else? What do they have in common? Ideas. Very good. Yep. Ideas. Yes. Anybody else? What do they have in common? Goals, ideas, want to be successful, but one will work harder than the other one. Okay, that's a good perspective. What do they have in common? What's the same with both of them? What's the same? They practice and manage their time. Anthony, yep. What else? Let me take one more guess of what do they have in common. This one blew me away. I was like, what? Like, are you serious? What do they have in common? One more guess, and we're gonna go on. What do they have in common? Lose sleep to do what they love. Confidence, Christopher says. Yes, here's the interesting thing. Let me tell you guys this. This is crazy. Here's what they have in common. Passion. Yes, Anthony, they do have passion. Anybody, could you believe this? Do you know that those who succeed and those who don't, the reality is that they both procrastinate? Now, when I first heard this, I'm like, what? How can someone who's successful procrastinate? Like, procrastination means I'm putting something off. I'm delaying something. I'm putting it on the back burner. How are you telling me that by procrastinating, someone is becoming successful? And then I heard this quote by Brian Tracy. He said the difference between high performers and low performers is largely determined by what they choose to procrastinate on. I'm gonna say that again. The difference between the high performers and the low performers is what they choose to procrastinate on. So I see true in the chat, right? It's what they choose. The high performing student, they're choosing to procrastinate Instagram, but they won't procrastinate on their assignments. The person who's in low performing, the low performing person, that person is deciding to procrastinate the paper, procrastinate studying for the test, procrastinate joining student government, procrastinate joining clubs, procrastinating these activities that are of quality. They procrastinate on those, and then they make the sand-like things priority. Pick up the phone whenever your friend calls, going on social media 10 times, going on media takeout, shade room, looking at Instagram again, looking at that post again, looking to see if anybody made any new comments. And they're making that a priority, and they're procrastinating on the quality stuff. And the high performing people are like, no, I'm gonna procrastinate on the sand, and I'm gonna focus and make the rocks a priority. If you do that alone, you will become a great leader. And we're gonna talk about leadership next month, but you're gonna be a great leader. You're gonna be a great decision maker. Those are the leaders that we wanna follow. We wanna follow leaders who know how to prioritize and know how to procrastinate, but they know which ones to do it with. They know which thing to procrastinate on, and they know which thing to prioritize. And because of that relationship and the understanding of it, because they have clarity on where they're trying to go, they're able to succeed at a high level. Are you guys getting this? Like, just put a 1 in the chat if you're still with me. I'm so big on this because I know that if we learn how to spend time, we could become rich in life. We could become rich in life if we know how to spend time. If we know, and I see ones in the chat, yo, this is good. So here's the big thing. We need to make a list. I told you to make a list. We need to make a list. You have to have a plan, put a schedule together so that you can tell time where you want it to go. And the thing I wanted you to share is I want you to come up with your big 3. What are the big 3 things that you want to focus on, right? What are the 3 things that you're going to put 1, 2, 3? These are the 3 things I'm going to do that's going to help me get towards my goal. What are those three things? And here's what those three things should consist of. They should consist of the things that bring you the most value. They should consist of things that have the biggest consequences if you don't do them. So you not going and like, what's the big consequence of you not going on Instagram? Huh? What's the consequence of not going on Instagram? None, right? You go on Instagram, you don't go on Instagram. There's no big consequence. But guess what? What's the consequence if you don't submit your assignments? What's the consequence if you don't finish your studies at Essex? You fail. You don't graduate. You don't get that new job. You don't get those opportunities. So you want to schedule these big threes and make sure that you focus on things that have the biggest consequences if you don't do them. And then you want to make sure you do something that only you can do. Only you can do. Focus on what you can do. This is about you. Here's the caveat. Time management is about how do you manage yourself with the time that you have. Time management is really self-management of you in relationship to the time that you have. How are you spending your 24 hours is going to determine the life that you have. How you spend them. And so when you focus on rocks and not sand, when you focus on your big three and realize that 2 is better than 10, all of a sudden you're able to stay in line. You're able to go and keep going, like Lindsay said, keep going. You're able to stay on track. You don't deviate because you know, here's my 3 things. Anytime you get lost, you go back to your 3 things. What's the 3 things? And for some of you, if you don't know what those 3 things are, here's an assignment I have for you. Go and email your professor today. I dare you to go and send me a screenshot of you sending an email to your professor. Send me it in my DM on Instagram and say, yo, Geo, I sent my professor an email and I asked my professor, what are 3 things that I need to focus on to get a great grade in this class? What are 3 things that I need to make sure that I do to make sure I get an A in your class? No professor is going to go, yo, stop asking me questions. No, they're going to actually tell you the 3 things. And here's why you want to ask them that. Because they're the ones responsible for giving you the grade. But you got to go and find out, what are the 3 things? Not 10, not 20. What are 3 things that I can focus on to make sure I get that amazing grade? That I can make sure that I graduate with an amazing grade at Essex and be able to move on to wherever it is that I want to go, whether it's becoming an RN, whether it's being in architecture, technology, where do you want to go? But that's all it is, guys. I know we're out of time, but I just want to just talk to you guys and say, yo, please focus on the big 3. There's other tips I wanted to give you real quick about, theme it. If you overwhelm, you've seen the Tacos Tuesdays, right? The theme, maybe you have Wednesdays is for writing papers, writing Wednesdays, tests taking Tuesdays or whatever, right? Like theme your days so that oh, Wednesday, we writing today. We writing. On Tuesdays, oh, it's test prep Tuesdays. Thursdays, we're going to do something for that. Theme your days so that's a lot easier for you to go and strategize and know how to go and operate. But here's the thing, I want to just leave you guys with this. Everything that I shared today will not do anything to change your life if you don't apply the information. This is just information, and information is potential power. It's not power. Power comes from applying information. So everything we learned today, honestly, if you apply just one of them, you'll be more productive. You dare apply 2 of them, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're going to have like that disgusting productivity. People are going to be like, yo, damn, you killing it. You'll be doing only 2 things, but those 2 things, you shining out here. From doing 2 instead of letting people set you up and say, oh, I'm going to do 10 things. Don't be busy. Take care of business. You are all CEOs of your life. And I'm telling you, I want you to succeed. And so this is my time. I always hang out with you guys afterwards. If you want, we always love feedback. I want to know, what did you learn? What did you learn from this presentation? You could scan your phone on here, fill out the quick 3-question survey. Let us know. Hey, Geo, this was helpful. Hey, Geo, this is what I thought about time management. And here's what my big rock is. I want to know what your big rock is. And if anyone, you see my handle on here, send me a DM. If you email your professor, I dare you. I know I always ask people to do it, and I always get one or two. Let's see who's one of those two going to be when you send your professor and say, hey, what's the 3 things? I heard this guy, he was speaking, he had the cool Essex background, and he was like, let me email you 3 things on how do I get an A in your class? And literally, you will find out the recipe to ensure that you get an A. So guys, I'm going to hang out with you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I want to see all of you on here. Let me just go and get out of here and see you guys. But hopefully this has been helpful. I enjoyed always being with you guys. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. I'd love to answer them. Maybe you have like, Geo, I don't know if this is a big rock or not. I don't know. How do I know if this is a rock or sand? We can answer those as well. But I just thank Joe. I thank Jamil, Mr. Graham and stuff for putting this stuff together to make sure that the students have exactly what they need to go ahead and set themselves up for success. Anthony says, thanks for that advice. I took notes, so we'll definitely work towards applying them. Please add your email to the chat so we can email you a survey about this event. Guys, put your email in the chat, as Mr. Graham said, so that you can go and get a survey about this event. This is the way we make sure that we bring in these programs over and over again. Again, the motto is #student first. And so we want to make sure that we're delivering at a high level what you actually need and benefit from so that you guys can always know that you are our #1 priority.
Thank you, Geo, for another awesome presentation.
Absolutely.
I want to tell all you this. I haven't been a student of academia for over 10 years now. And every time I hear Geo speak, I feel like he's talking to me. He don't even know it, but and I'm not a student, but he's still saying things that even I can apply to my life. And I feel guilty listening to these presentations because when you break down the minutes and the time that we do have, you start to immediately, self-inflection, self-reflection, whatever you want to say, but you start thinking about those things, and it could be scary. And seeing a great speech like this can get you really motivated. And I feel motivated to make better use of my time right now. If any of you have any questions, feel free to turn your cameras on, speak to Geo. This is your chance to get it out right now. So go ahead, let him see your face.
I would love to answer any questions. I'm here for you guys. Thank you guys. I see you in the chat. Hopefully this was beneficial. Hello, Melanie. I see you.
Hi, Gio. Thank you. Thank you. That was an awesome presentation.
I'm so glad you were here.
Yeah, thank you. I've been doing too much, so now I need to go down to that too.
You got to go down to the 2. I'm telling you, you will feel so light. You don't have to go and pay that extra fare for that extra baggage you carrying.
Right.
And, you'll feel free. And honestly, you'll see like the 2 things that you focus on will actually produce more than the 8 you were doing.
Right. Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Have a blessed one.
You too.
Thank
Carla,
you.
Thank you. I see you. Awesome and inspiring. And Angeline, I need to know how you say your name correctly. How did I say your name?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, guys, absolutely. Any questions you guys may have, anything you want to go over, or don't forget that illustration of the rocks go first, and then you put in the pebbles, then you put in the sand. Like they're telling you, you will have time for Instagram, but just make sure that you still do the stuff that's most important, and you slide in Instagram. You don't slide in assignments. Right? Don't slide in assignments. Slide in Instagram. Put a time limit on Instagram. I got like a thing on my app on my phone. I gotta go and put a time limit. The other day, Joe, I was on my phone. I saw I was on Instagram for 5 hours.
Oh my Lord.
I was like, Instagram don't pay me for 5 hours. Right? And you start thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't have time. And it's like, you do have time. It's just that we're spending it the wrong way. And if we just flip it, you're like, yo, rocks, pebbles, sand versus sand, then pebbles, and like, oh snap, I don't got no time to do my paper. I'm tired. I'm just going to do it tomorrow. And then what happens is every day becomes a tomorrow, and then you're like cramming at the last minute to try to write an amazing paper, but you don't have anything left to write it with. And so I just want to just make sure that we know that. And like Joe said, this is not just, I hope you guys are realizing this is not just about school. This is about life. Like this is, I tell you, college is a dress rehearsal for life. This is about life. We make the decisions with our time better. Oh my gosh, everything changes. So please, hopefully you guys will take that to heart. I look forward to being with you guys again next month. Like, this has been amazing. This partnership with Essex, you guys do an amazing job to continue to provide for your students, even in the midst of this pandemic. I always am loving the calendar of events. You talked about bullying last week and all this cool stuff. And I'm like, man, they really are creating events. A lot of schools are doing less events. And I love how you guys put your students first and are actually like, yo, it almost feels like y'all didn't take no time off. like, you guys are grinding. So thank you guys. Anybody, if you got questions, feel free to ask them. You can unmute yourself. If you don't want to go and unmute yourself, you could go and put it in the chat. I'm going to hang around for a little bit and answer anything that you guys want to.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, who am I talking?
My name is Carla Barrientos
Yes, Carla.
Martinez.
Yes.
Yes. I've been asked lately, and one thing I'd like to say is thank you very much for always sending out the email notifications of, these, like these little seminars that you have and that you hold online. It's very nice to be part and to always be kept in the loop. Although I'm not always able to join, this is my second time. And again, very informative, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That gives us, the students, that we know that you guys are still there. Although we're not there physically, we know that, you're there, like in the back.
That's good job by these guys, man. They're doing an amazing job.
Yes, and you too.
Thank you.
My question is, lately I've been getting a lot of requests for honor society, also joining like different organizations. I'm doing very well and I'm very proud of myself. However, this semester, right now I've got like a 3.8
Nice.
GPA. I'm doing I was on a dean's list last semester.
Good job, Carla.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and it's the backstory. After 30 years, I went back to school.
Oh yeah.
And actually, I'm in Essex. My daughter is attending. She's 19, and she's at St. Peter's. She got a scholarship. She plays softball, but it's never too late to go back. Never too late to finish and accomplish your dreams. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard with work, the children. You have a family, you have to cook and clean and do all that good stuff. But I'm afraid that if I join, say, the Honor Society, and then this semester, which is the toughest, I have chemistry, statistics, biology 122. I'm afraid my GPA might go down because it's a tough one. It's tough. Chemistry is hard, statistics. Yeah. As I'm listening to you guys, I'm also working on a paper. So it's like, if I accept it, which is an honor, what will happen if my GPA drops? Will they like kick me out or?
May I ask, Carla, this is Mr. Graham. Which honor society are you talking about? Phi Theta Kappa?
Yeah, that's one. I have like three actually.
I would say this, with Phi Theta Kappa, you have to have, I believe it's like a 3.6 or something like that to get in. But then the requirement to stay in, the threshold drops. And then being a part of that organization, and I've been meeting with those students a lot lately, you'll be able to surround yourself with students who are, a lot of them are going down the same academic path you're going down and taking the same courses you're taking. So then that creates a network that you can kind of study with, and it may help actually ease the academic side as well as provide opportunities for scholarships and acceptance into colleges down the road. So it may have a nice synergistic effect with Phi Theta Kappa. I don't know about the others, but I can speak to that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one, it says it's the National Society of Leadership and Success, Sigma Alpha Pi.
And I believe that's under that comes through the EOF department.
Okay, so I have this one, and then I have the one that you said earlier.
Phi Theta Kappa.
Yes, that one I have also.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I just didn't want to, because like I said, if my GPA drops, say like, I don't want to, I'm just thinking because you just never know. I want to get into the nursing program there at Essex. So it's a little, scary, because this is like, the chemistry and the statistics is a little hard.
I know. And right now, and that's what I'm suggesting to you. This is Mr. Graham speaking to you.
Yes, right? I see you.
These clubs and organizations, right? This Phi Theta Kappa, these academic organizations, this is your network right now, especially while we're remote. Create this network right now that will be able to assist you, if not for anything else, academically. This is what your peers are striving to do right now, and just to think that you've earned your right to be a part of that organization and accrue all of the benefits that engaging in that will bring forth to you. So I definitely say yes, accept that invitation. Become a part of this wonderful organization on campus that has wonderful advisors and a lot of peers there to support your success and to help alleviate a lot of the fears that you're going through right now, and who may be going through the same fears, and you all can work through it together.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's great advice. Thank you, Mr. Graham. That's very good. And I think when we have these scenarios, we always think, what if my GPA drops, and not realize, what if it actually gets better?
Yes.
Like I know you might be overwhelmed, but what if you go to one National Honor Society meeting and someone tells you, here's how I study chemistry, and now they just saved you time because you didn't know how to study for chemistry like that person does. So you are the things that you surround yourself with. And so I would say, and I know you like you said, going back after 30 years, which I commend you for doing that and not giving up on your dreams. I think the key thing is, don't stop here. Get everything you're supposed to get out of this experience, and also understand that they don't give these honor society slots away. These were something that you earned. And so I think it's beneficial for you to go and say, if I earned it, I'm going to go claim it. That's like you getting a lottery ticket, and I'm like, hey, you scratched this, you paid for the ticket, here's $1,000. And you're like, but if I might spend $1,000 wrong. And it's like, I don't care if I'm going to spend it wrong. Like, I need to go and find out. And so I would say, make sure you find out, because sometimes it always looks harder from outside of the store. But when you get inside the store, you're like, oh, snap. Like, I got so much support. I got so many people who's cheering for me. And it's easier to run faster when you're running with fast people. When you're running with people who are not fast, it's easy for you to be like, oh, I'm just going 3.8. But you'll never know, like, what if you were going to drop down to 3.6 because you didn't have that people around you all doing 3.8s? I want this to start to feel normal for you, and it has, but let's make sure it stays there, and that's by getting into a community like that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
I just want to remind everybody that we'll have Geo back on 11/11, November 11th. That's right. That's a great and very, very lucky day. We're happy to have Geo back that day for the Unleash the Leader Within program. So if you enjoyed the secrets of highly successful students, and it's about time, you're going to really, really, really benefit from coming to Unleash the Leader Within. Again, that's November 11th right here on Zoom, same time, same channel. We hope to see you then. We hope that you and your families are staying safe during this time. We thank our special guest today, as always, Mr. Geo Derice. Geo, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right.
All right, guys. And let's say happy birthday to Mr. Graham again for like the
20th day. Thanks, Geo.
Happy birthday, Mr. Graham.
Happy belated.
Happy birthday, Mr. Graham.
We ain't never going to let you hear the end of it now.
Thanks, y'all.
Mr. Graham, take us out. We hope your families are doing well during this time. We'll see you next time. Go for it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. Definitely see you next time. Glad you appreciate all the support. Stay engaged.